Hi everybody, welcome back. My name's Claire. I did this flip cup recently and I had some leftover paints. So I had the green colour, I've got the silver, and then I've got a colour from all the paints, all the dripped paints that landed on my worktop. So I scraped it up and created this amazing blue colour. So I'm going to use those three colours. I'm going to add some white and I'm going to add some Prussian blue phthalo just to give a real dark colour and a real light colour for contrast. And I'm going to try something I've never done before. I'm going to layer up a cup and do a ribbon pour. But because there's silicone in these paints, I'm going to torch it, but I'm going to try and torch it in lines to create some patterns within the cells. Not sure if it will work, might look a mess. We'll find out and try. So these are the colours. So the leftover colours I've got are Pebeo Studio Acrylics Silver, Pebeo Studio Acrylics Green Blue, and then this is the colour that I scraped from the pour, and it's just amazing. It is a stunning colour. It's sparkly. It's a kind of charcoal grey blue. It's so pretty. So I had these three colours. So I'm adding the really dark Prussian blue phthalo, and then I'm adding some white. So these three colours are all sort of mid colours. So I've got very dark and then very light to add into it. So they're all mixed with PVA glue and water pouring medium, and they've all got Spot On Treadmill Silicone in the mix. Let me show you the consistency. They're all about the same. I've already mixed them. I just haven't got them here. So it's quite thick, it's quite creamy, it's pouring nicely, but it is leaving a trail on the surface, which is just lasting a few seconds. So I'll put all the recipes in the description of the video. So here are my four colours. I'm going to just layer up a plastic cup. I'm going to do them in this order. So I've got darker, lighter, and then the darker, and then again the lighter. I'm going to do several layers. So I'm going to, often when I do a ribbon pour, I do several cups. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do several layers in one cup, just to see what that is going to look like. Oh, that's thicker. It's interesting. As soon as you actually start pouring the paint, I can feel how thick it is by how quickly it starts draining out the cup. So compared to that blue, that was a lot thicker. So just a splash more water. Yeah, and that then was much easier. Poured out much quicker then. I did have to, oh, that's thicker as well. I did have to water the leftovers down because I'd left them, and also I'd left them on my worktop but without any cling film over them, so the air was exposed. So with the blue, the scraped off blue one, there was quite a thick skim on top, but luckily I'd left a stir stick in each pot. So all I did was simply pick up the stir stick, and then all the thickened paint just came off in a massive clump straight in the bin. So actually I'm going to go down the side, I think. So it actually worked quite well. If you leave paints too long, and especially without any cover on them, they just get too thick and you have to throw them away. Right, so that's one layer. Beautiful colours, absolutely beautiful. Let's get rid of that air bubble. So such a pretty combination. I'm quite excited by this. The canvas I'm using, 29 by 42, so I wanted a rectangular canvas. I'm going to pour from, I'm at this end today, so I'm going to pour lines like this. So they're going to be straight lines, but along the shortest length of the canvas as a ribbon pour. So I think I'm going to stand at the end. In fact, I might just stand, actually I'm probably just going to stand on the corner because I'm right-handed. That just feels most comfortable. So just lots of lovely ribbons. I'm going to try and spread them out. So when you first pour out the cup, the ribbons will be very thick, and then at the end they'll be much thinner and more blended. So I'm going to try and mix that over the whole canvas, the thick bits and the thin bits at the end of the cup. So here goes. I'm not worried about going off over the edge of the canvas because I'm going to be tilting to get nice straight lines. Wow, these colours are amazing. Right, one thing I always forget is to go off over the edges at the end. So now there's not much paint left in here. Well, all I'm doing is going through some of these thicker bands of colour just to break them up a bit. Like there's a really big turquoise band, so I'm just doing a very small ribbon through the centre. Sorry about the background noise, my husband is printing something. The printer's right behind me. Right, I think I'm there. So there's a few areas of bald canvas still. I'm hoping that as I tilt it, that will disappear. So I'm not worried about these edges at the moment. I'm going to dab some colour on in the afterwards, I think. So I'm just going to start tilting. I'm just tilting back and forwards. That's all I'm doing. There's plenty of paint on here. So I'm just going to keep tilting until this bald canvas disappears. Like that. Right, so I've now got beautiful straight lines, but I've got a problem, and that is that these edges aren't covered. So I would actually be perfectly happy with that now, but I've still got bare canvas. So I'm just, what shall I do? So I could just tilt it so that I don't have the straight lines. Maybe I'll do that. So there'll be some lines throughout, but they're going to have a wave to it. I think I'm going to have to do that because I just don't have leftovers in the cup. What I will do though is just dab these bald bits of canvas because it will then just help the colour to flow over them. So I can just use the nice drips. Although actually by doing that I'm creating lines. Actually that looks fine. Right, I've now actually got the edges covered beautifully, so I don't actually need to do any more tilting, but I'm actually thinking of tilting it now. The lines are very straight. I'm actually thinking, does that look a bit boring? So I'm going to do some tilting. I don't want straight lines now. I've totally changed my mind. So I'm not sure really what I'm going to do. I'm just going to play around, see what happens. And try and get a bit of a wave in it. The advantage of doing that is it means it gets rid of some of the paint, which is a good news in terms of this drying, because if there's less paint on the canvas, then it will dry quicker, and also likely to dry better in terms of it's less likely to crack. Right, quite happy with that. It's that dark blue line in the middle I'm really concentrating on. I'm trying to get a really nice wave into it. Just going to get rid of that really big cell. I don't like that. Right, that's totally different. Actually just trying to get rid of that other big cell, I think, that big white cell at the bottom, because I don't like that. That's the advantage of just having lots of paint on the canvas. You have so much control. Right, I'm going to leave that. So that's done. I'm just going to wash my hands, and then I'm going to start some torching. So my idea for the torching is just to do some bands of torching. And I think it would make sense to actually do the torching in the bands that follow the pattern of the canvas. I've never done this before. I have no idea how it's going to work. I quite like to torch through there because I'm not as keen on that bit. And I think I'd quite like to torch through this turquoise to try and break that up a little bit. So what I'm going to have to do is keep the torch moving, otherwise it will burn the paint. But I'm going to I think I'm just going to keep torching like that in a line. So let's see what happens. Oh my goodness, I love it. I am so excited by this. You've got the lines of the ribbon port, there's no doubting that, but I've managed to get some cells along those lines. So often when you get so many cells, you then can't see the pattern of the pour underneath. But I think I've managed to achieve both. You've got the lines, you've got the pattern, but the cells as well. So let me show you. I've never done this before. I'm really excited by this whole idea. So cells in lines. So there's some very clear areas where I haven't torched. So you can see the pattern. There was a massive plain section here. So you can see I've just gone straight through the centre of it to break it up. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm so excited. So happy with it. I've left a really lovely turquoise line there and a really lovely dark line there. And then, so you can just see the distinct lines. What's interesting is, you remember at the beginning I tried to torch through the turquoise. I think that turquoise must be quite thick, because you can see, if I zoom in, I have torched it, because you can see it looks slightly rippled on top, slightly bumpy, but there's no cells that have appeared through it. So I wonder if that turquoise was just a bit on the thick side still. And the same there. You can see the cells trying to pop through the turquoise colour there. The colours are gorgeous. What a lovely colour combination. Right, I will be back when it's dry. So here it is dry. I'm absolutely amazed by this piece. I have never thought of torching in lines before, and I love the result. You're going to see lots more of these videos. I've got one planned in maybe reds and golds, so a ribbon pour and then torching in lines. I absolutely love it. It's such an unusual effect. I love the composition. I love the fact that you've got the curvy bit here, you've got a subtle curve, and then you've got this more striking piece, cut a line down there. I think when I do it again, I'm going to try and get even more curve into it. So if I go show you close up, it's absolutely fascinating. So the cells are obviously tiny, because I torched at the end. I didn't tilt after I torched, but I think because of that, they just blend in a little bit more. And so the feature of this painting isn't the cells, but it is still the lines, the composition of it. So the lines are still the feature without the cells taking over. It's interesting, you've got different types of cells. So this will be down to the different types of paint and the different thicknesses of paint. So for example here, they're very elongated, very long cells. So I think one of the paints there must have been thinner, so the cells could really come up through the paint. Compared to the tiny, tiny cells, the white cells are really tiny. So they were obviously struggling more to come up through the paint. So you've just got all these variations and the differences. I love having this super dark line here and here. So it's just so interesting, so unusual. I've never done this before. And then look at this. Can you see all the iridescence? So this isn't varnished yet. This is just with the pouring medium, the PVA pouring medium and the paint, iridescent paint. It's so shiny and shimmery. So I could leave it exactly as it is. I will varnish it just to add some protection to it. But I'm absolutely over the moon with it. Please let me know what you think. Do leave me comments. If you like it, please hit the thumbs up button. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.